Hello everyone. I'm going to be discussing the pollen extraction methods that were used in the Bella Bond murder case and attempt to make an argument about where a defense team could go when looking at the pollen extraction, the pollen method. So pollen was extracted from the samples or from the clothing and hair follicles of the murdered child, then labeled baby doe. They used the pollen to determine the identity of the victim. The child was placed at the rocky shores of Deer Island. There was no indication that she drifted to the shoreline. She was placed there. And pollen was carefully extracted using a specialized vacuum that has a filter on the end that catches the debris. Then that debris is then chemically treated, and so that all the impurities are removed and leaving only pollen. If you look on the right side of the slides, you'll see an example of this. I believe this is actually the scientist doing the extraction, and that is the clothing from Bella Bond. Pollen was primarily used as a method for identifying the remains of the child, to put a name to the body. So it would be inappropriate, would not be appropriate for defense attorneys or defense team to question the validity of the identification process. However, is it possible how was Michael McCarthy linked to the murder specifically? There may have been some mitigating evidence once they found the identity of the child. Child was missing for 85 days and the parents never went to the police. There was clearly some signs, some suspects, something that was suspect in that. However, what links Michael McCarthy to the specific dumping grounds, the Deer Island? Is there any way to trace the pollen found at the scene to Michael McCarthy? And going that route, there was nothing that said that they used pollen to link him to the crime. It was simply just to identify the child. But if that were the case, if there was a way that they linked pollen to him, I would, as a defense team, they should try to review the methodology from the specific laboratory and just ensure that there's reliable and valid measures, right? Is there a possibility for cross-contamination? What did the scientists do to mitigate the possibility of cross-contamination? What was the specific type of pollen that linked from the victim to the location? What was the specific pollen? Was the equipment sterilized? Did they use controls prior to conducting their research or conducting their tests? And lastly, what is the accreditation for the forensic lab? Though forensic botany is not a requirement, or accreditation for forensic botany is not a requirement, that's only for DNA analysis, it would still be an interesting argument to make when determining the validity of these findings. Some limitations to the use of pollen extraction is that pollen is very common. Various types of pollen have a wide utility and are common. And common types are abundant, so they cannot be used to pinpoint an exact location. So, in order for pollen research to have added value, especially when it comes to specific locations, you need to find rarer pollen types or unique pollen that could pinpoint to a specific region more so than pine or birch or something of the sort, where the trees are abundant in a large, vast region. Okay, thank you.